Namaste yogis, welcome and thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your Yin Yoga practice. It's a true honor and I'm really delighted to share with you this practice. The theme of this practice is about connection. Connecting with yourself but also connecting with the world around you. And I'm able to connect with you through modern technology, which is an amazing thing. So I can share my practice and we can share the love for yoga simply through virtual technology. So today's practice, as I said, is about connection, and yoga is about connecting the mind, the body and the spirit. And a great way to cultivate connection is the art of letting go, the art of surrendering and trying to get to the present moment. Sometimes that means that you might have to experience a bit of discomfort, maybe a feeling of not feeling completely at ease with yourself. But if you just allow this to surrender, allow this to happen, you might come to realize that nothing really stays. Everything is just passing by. So today's Yin Yoga class, we're going to work a bit on the spine, moving through the 6 degrees of freedom in the spine. As always in Yin Yoga practice, and I will explain a lot more when we're getting into the practice, it's important that you don't feel any pain, anything sharp or electrical, no numbness in the hands or in the feet, because we are going to stay for a while in the poses, okay? It is also great if you have a couple of props available. A blanket is always good to support the knees, an eye pillow for towards the end, but definitely maybe a brick to support the body in certain shapes, or even a lovely bolster. If you don't have any of that, don't worry so much about it. You can always use some pillows, some cushions, towels, or even books to support the body. So without any further delay, let's get you into your connection practice. So come to the back of your mat. I'm going to move this bolster to the side. Come to the back of the mat, and the first posture we're going to attempt is a wide knee child's pose. So bring the big toes together and the knees as far apart as possible. And please feel free to place a blanket under your knees just to feel a bit more comfortable. And then you're going to stretch your body along the mat. Really keeping the knees as wide as possible, allowing the body to completely surrender onto your mat. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. And this is to arrive into your practice. So take a few moments just to settle yourself, maybe wiggle around. Maybe you need to place a bolster or a blanket under the forehead or underneath the knees. So we are going in the Yin Yoga practice. We are entering the pose and we're staying in the pose in your edge. And that is the place in the posture where you feel the first resistance. And that can be a little stretch, a tug, a pull, nothing really sensational, just enough that keeps your attention, but nothing really that ever hurts the body. Now once you find your edge, you're going to try to be absolutely still. Stillness of the physical body, and then relaxing as many muscles in the body as possible. So we are surrendering to the fact that we are in this pose. We are committing ourselves to non-movement. And the last guideline or principle of a Yin Yoga class is holding poses for time. And that is basically the whole practice. Find your edge, be absolutely still, relax the muscles, and hold for time. And this allows the body to slowly enter the different layers in the body. And Yin Yoga practice is in particularly concerned and interested in the connective tissue that also connects us, that binds us. And that includes the ligaments and the bones and the fascia in the body. But before we delve in a bit more deeper into these different tissues, I would like you to maybe close the eyes and just notice for a moment where you are at this point, at this present time.
How is your body feeling? How is your energy? Maybe any strong or powerful thoughts that continue to arise. And everything is an observation. We're not here to judge, we're not here to fix, we're just here to observe the body and allowing it all to happen. And a great way to get you through a yoga practice, but also just to guide you, is your breath. We breathing ideally in and out through the nose. But if you find that sometimes that gives you a bit of sense of restriction, just maybe just relax and exhale through the mouth. In Yin Yoga practice, we don't really exactly tell you how to breathe. We're trying to encourage you to breathe as soft and as quiet and as relaxed as possible, suitable for your body. Because a yoga practice is a very individual practice. We need to try to work with what we've got, not what we would like or what your neighbor has or what you've seen in a book or on television. Just work with the body you have right now. And the wide knee child's pose is a very humble pose, gently stretching the inner thighs, releasing some pressure from the back. It's a lovely mild chest opener. And with the forehead to the mat, it's quite going more inside the body. So let's stay here for maybe another 3 breaths or so. And with each exhalation, you're allowing the body to surrender just a tiny bit more. Yes, you might notice a bit of a discomfort, not 100% comfort. But if there is an absence of pain, then why don't you stay? Explore this discomfort rather than fixing it or erasing it. Perhaps this might be your story. Shall we take another beautiful breath in through the nose and exhale fully and completely. And we're slowly coming out. Everything is done slowly in a Yin Yoga practice. So maybe you need to bring your body up a little bit. Bring your arms closer to your knees and first allow the body to come up. You might feel a bit tired, a bit sleepy, and then bring the knees in one at a time. So bring the knees in one at a time, allowing everything to rebound again. So slowly come to the middle of your mat. You don't have to change sides, I will do that for you. And you might need a blanket. We're going to place a blanket underneath the knees. This is for most students quite comfortable. And the next posture we attempt to do is just to wake up the body a little bit. And with usually a part of the body we don't really focus on a lot. It's actually our toes. So we're going to slowly start waking the body, stimulating the body from the base, and we're doing a bit toe stretch. So we're going to tuck our toes under. And again, if you actually can't really see it properly, I can actually do it from the side. So the toes are tucked, all 10 toes if you have 10. And gently pressing into the balls of your feet. You might already feel a bit of a congestion, quite of a strong sensation, but nothing really sensational. Keeping the hips or your heels underneath your hips, so we're not putting too much pressure on the ankles. So it's an equal weight distribution. Now most people experience quite strong sensations in this posture because we don't really exercise our feet a lot, or definitely not our toes, and yet they get most of our weight. So the same principles apply in even the toe stretch. This is not about how deep or how far you can go. This is finding the appropriate stress, positive stress on the tissues, on the connective tissue. So for some students, this is your edge with the hands down to the floor and just gently pressing into the balls of the feet, feeling this glorious opening, maybe the bottoms of your feet and maybe the toes. Some students might be able to sit in a slightly, more challenging version when you're bringing your shoulders over your hips, and you're sitting on top of your heels, which brings a significant amount of extra pressure onto the feet. Now, a great way to see or to notice if you are in the right edge is your breath. If you have stop breathing, or you start to clench your jaw, or you're start fidgeting around a lot, that is probably a sign that you are a bit too deep in the pose. Remember, this is about challenging the body, but not in a way that your body hardens up. So find your edge, and only you know where that is. Commit to stay still, relaxing as many muscles in the body as possible, and then you're simply holding the poses for time. That is the essence. Finding time to connect with your body, to connect with this posture, and with everything that comes with it. Sometimes sensations are, they are quite interesting, and they might stir up some feelings, some emotions, ranging from pure delight to frustration to irritability. And you know what? That's all fine, because pain is never okay. That is really damaging and hurting for the body, and so that doesn't cultivate compassion. But this ache we're experiencing is housed in our connective tissue. What maybe has dried up or hardened up or has slightly become congested. And that is not really great to carry it around with us all the time. It's extra luggage, extra baggage for our body. Now let's take a few more breaths. I'm sure your feet are really communicating with you now, and please take the appropriate position with the body to take the pressure off. If your hands are not resting on the mat, you're staying in an upright position. Take a deep breath in, stretch your arms up, maybe even look up, lifting the chest, and then bring your hands into prayer. And slowly bring your hands down on the mat. And now comes the best part of the pose, and that is releasing it. Slowly, gently lift the feet, and you feel your toes almost curling in. Maybe you want to gently tap your feet, or maybe you want to tap them against each other. But the counter pose of the toe stretch is usually sitting back onto the feet again, or maybe even, if it's appropriate in your body today, bring your hands behind you and gently lean into the fronts of your feet. And this is called ankle stretch. This is again to gently stress and traction the connective tissue in your ankles, the fronts of your feet. So yeah, it's really good for the ligaments that hold your ankles in place. So that's what a Yin Yoga practice is. It's not so much muscular. It's not really about strengthening or flexibility. It is about gently pressing and stressing the deeper and more denser parts of our body that connects us. Ligaments, fascia, and even all the way down to the bones. And due to the depth, but also the position of those areas, but also the density of those tissues, we need to hold it slightly longer to activate those cells inside those tissues. And that has nothing to do with anything spiritual or anything holistic, it's simply science, okay? So take a few more breaths, and again, apply each time the philosophy and the guidelines of a Yin Yoga practice, and that is surrendering, maybe into a slight discomfort, but never anything that hardens or hurts the body. Take another deep breath in, maybe exhale, sigh it out, and then slowly, gently, that feels always really good, lower your knees down, maybe move the blanket away from the knees, place your hands onto the mat and slowly bring yourself up onto standing on your knees, and then tuck the toes back again, and then come standing on your 2 feet. Feels really great to have your feet nicely exposed. Spread the toes nice and wide, feet up parallel, hip width distance. Maybe you need to bend your knees a little bit, and let's place our elbows onto our knees, slightly at the top. So our next pose is dangling pose, and I will show you the different layers of the pose. We don't usually encourage this posture, If there is anything with the eyes, you're not allowed to have too much pressure on the eyes, or if you have high blood pressure. Then I'm going to ask you for you to have a sit down on your bottom and then fold the body forward. Otherwise, join me in dangling pose. So the feet are a bit active, we just open them. Inner arch are lifted, and we're starting with the knees bent, just to slowly allow the body to get used to this forward fold shape. So this is track number 1. Really good for students who have sensitivity in the back, or very, very tight hamstrings, or simply don't like to dangle as much. And then keeping the neck nice and relaxed. Some students really enjoy keeping the knees gently bent, and that allows the hips to fold nicely, and then let the body completely dangle and rest, feeling the back of the neck lengthening. So this posture is dangling pose, also referred to as ragdoll pose. You can let your arms dangle, you can holding on to the elbows. Some students like to interlace the hands and gently allow the weight of the elbows, just gently traction the spine down. And if it's right for your back, for your lower back, be mindful. You can gently straighten out the legs. But it's about the folding of the hips to release the lower back all the way up to the middle back and the upper back. Just dangling yourself into position. I like to close my eyes in a Yin Yoga practice. There's nothing really much to see. So when we're arriving in this pose, always make sure that the sensations are manageable. Maybe you need to move around a little bit just to find that juicy point, that bite point in the pose. Maybe a lovely sigh, and then commit to be still. Noticing the various sensations in your body. Maybe you feel it in the back of the legs, maybe you feel it a little bit more in the spine, maybe you feel it more in your shoulders. And wherever you physically feel it the most, can you relax the tissues around it? And the body will naturally always contract because it wants to protect. When the body experiences discomfort, natural protective mode kicks in of holding, protecting, tightening up, running away from it. And that is a very active nervous system. What we're trying to do in a Yin Yoga practice is allowing these sensations, as long as not no pain, the discomfort to happen, but we're not reacting to it. We're simply observing and allowing. Because all these denser, congested, achy parts of the body might be tension we're holding on to, maybe some scar tissue, maybe trauma, maybe emotions, because everything we don't let go of stays in the body, stores in the body, and it is believed that it's stored in our connective tissue. So if you find that you need a bit of variation in this pose, as I said before, you can straighten out the legs, maybe bring the weight slightly forward, maybe bring the weight slightly back. And let everything just dangle. Maybe you want to gently move your head. It's again to surrender and the acceptance of letting go, and that you will feel a little bit of discomfort. Can you also relax your eyes and your jaw? And let's stay here for 3 more breaths. Feel where the sensations are traveling, where they're going, where they're hiding, and how does it make you feel? Let's breathe in together. Inhale, feel the breath coming in through the nose, into the body. Exhale, sigh it out, and surrender a little bit more. Dangle yourself down towards the mat. Lovely. Now slowly, gently bend your knees. And we're going to slowly come out. Bring your arms out in front of you. And we need to make sure that the blood slowly leaves the brain. So we're going to slowly bring the knees down towards the mat. Coming into this all fours position. And then to transition, we're going into melting heart pose. So your hips stay over your knees. And you're going to slowly lower your elbows down. Really root rooting the fronts of your feet and your shins into the mat. This is track 1, allowing your heart to drop. Maybe let your head relax. If you like to explore something a bit stronger, stretching your arms out in front of you, keeping your hips lifted, and melt your heart, your forehead down to the floor. Completely surrendering your chest, your shoulders, but your feet and your knees are slightly active, just to support the upper body. This is a mild backward bend, and there's maybe a bit of strength in the arms, just to keep the body in position. But the heart is melting. A beautiful opening of the chest and all the tissues that are underneath the skin in our chest, our abdomen. And we have layers and layers of tissue. Starting with the outer tissue, which is your skin. Can you feel gently the skin stretching around the abdomen, the chest, and maybe even the armpits? And then when you go a little bit deeper underneath the skin, maybe you feel a bit of muscle, maybe the superficial fascia underneath the skin that keeps all the surfaces gliding nicely. And when we're holding it long enough, we're entering the deeper connective tissue around the muscles, our fascia, maybe gently stressing the ligaments, and all the way down to the bones, allowing the weight and gravity to gently press against it. Is it always comfortable? No. But never any pain, burning, or numbness in the hands or in the feet. If this becomes too powerful for the shoulders and it's not the appropriate edge anymore, then I'm going to invite you just to bend your elbows to take the pressure off the shoulders. If you have an injured shoulder, you can always bend that particular arm and allow the body to rest in this pose for a little bit more. So feel a gentle compression in the lumbar spine. Backward bending. Yes, we're moving the spine forwards, backwards. We will move it sideways and we will twist it. The 6 degrees of freedom. Now melt the heart. Feeling the front body opening, but also you're giving your organs space, allowing the organs, especially in the abdomen, just to hang, and also your heart just to gently press against the outer edges of the pericardium, the heart's gatekeeper or bodyguard they refer to it, which is also a connective tissue. In order to get there, we need to be just a bit patient. We need to be there for a little bit of time. Now softening your body and trust that discomfort is okay. It's your body's way of communicating, of connecting with you, and maybe you can let go a little bit of fear of feeling discomfort. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale fully. Drop and melt the heart a little bit more. And please know you always have the freedom to come out. Now once you have completed your own breaths, slowly, gently, that means not fast, drawing the arms back in again. And that feels pretty vulnerable, like your arms are not moving anymore. And slowly push your hips towards your heels. Maybe join your knees together and make yourself nice and folded like a little ball. Like a little egg shape, rounding over your legs, rounding gently the spine. This is just to counteract this back bend of melting heart. Feel how safe it is just to really make yourself compact. Take a few more breaths. Most of our immobility, or let's make it an easier word, inflexibility or being inflexible, is not always to do with our muscles. It has most of the time to do with the hardening, the shortening of our connective tissue, our ligaments, our fascia. And that happens for many reasons, but one of them is simply aging. We are slowly drying up. Bring yourself back up again, coming to your hands and your knees. And just for a moment, I'm sure you appreciate that, coming to a downward dog, just stretching your legs and your arms. Yeah, give yourself a really gorgeous stretch out, relaxing your shoulders. Yeah, this is a bit more dynamic, nothing yin about it, but it feels simply really good. Lovely, then lower your knees down towards the mat, and we're going to leave the knees alone, and we're going to slowly lower ourselves onto our tummies. Lowering ourselves onto our tummies, really stretching the legs back, and we're going to prop ourselves up onto our elbows for Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose, where the elbows are in front of your shoulders, and you are pressing your forearms into the mat, lifting the chest up a little bit, shoulder blades down the back, and your chin is parallel to the floor. So it's almost like this Sphinx sculpture in Egypt, very proud, with a lifted chest, but very relaxed and heavy legs. So we can bend ever so nicely into a lumbar spine. And that's where we're staying. This posture is quite similar to the pose we did before, where it all comes down to stretching and opening and creating space for the front body. Allowing your belly just to gently press in and out, come in and out and press into the mat. And pressing gently into the vertebrae of the lower spine. And that might come with a bit of discomfort. But backward bending is not really a movement, unless you do yoga, which most of you all do. We do naturally in our routine. It's mostly forward folding when we're sitting and even standing, looking at our phones, eating at the dinner table. So the spine is in a position which is fine, but the spine can move in 6 directions, and one of them is also a back bend. And that is really great to gently press into the bones, into the vertebrae, gently pushing them together. Now something really magical happens when you're pressing the bones together without any movement, without any rubbing. And when we're holding it long enough and we're practicing this pressing gently of the bones, we're stimulating cells. They are called osteoblasts. And these are bone building cells. So it's like bearing weight on the bones. So this is really great to keep your bone density. And then on the opposite side of a backward bend of the spine is we're stretching and stressing the ligaments at the front of the spine that holds all these vertebrae in place. Now you can experiment a little bit with maybe bending the legs, see how that feels. Lovely. Maybe it feels better, maybe it feels worse, but try to unclench your butt cheeks, keep the bum relaxed, unless you have huge sensitivity in the lower back. Now we're staying here for a few more moments, pressing down in the forearms, keeping the chest lifted, and feel free to gently move the head from side to side. No tension. We're trying to get rid of as much tension as possible and surrender to the fact that you're not moving. Good. Now, you can stay wherever it's appropriate. You can even come out if it gets a bit too much in the back. But for the last minute or so, I prefer having my legs straight when I enter this pose. So let's say the last track or the deepest track of the Sphinx pose is seal pose. So if you like to explore a deeper version, turn your hands out to the side. Your thumbs are facing forward, fingers on the outside. Now press quite firmly the heels of your hands into the mat and straighten out your arms. So this is a much stronger back bend, which for some students is very appropriate. It gives them a glorious opening, and for some students is way too far. Remember, find your edge, be still, and hold for time. This is your body. You live in this body. So please take really good care of it. If this still is not enough for you, you can move your hands closer towards your hips. And then it's almost like you're coming in an upward dog, where the hips are slightly lifted.
Again, this is not for everybody. Do what's right for your unique body, your shape, your anatomy, your story. Let's take here a few more breaths. Feel free to move the head maybe up, maybe even down, or maybe simply neutral. Hold the pose. Allow the body to respond the way it needs to, and observe. This is a glorious back bend. Highly recommended, especially if you have a very sensitive back or you sit a lot, tight hips. So let's take one more big breath in and exhale. Now slowly come down, put your brakes on, slowly lower your body down. This probably find very, very vulnerable. Try not to move aggressively or quickly or rapidly. Just place your hands underneath your forehead and gently move your hips maybe from side to side. Yeah, lovely. Breathing, calm, deep and slow. Good. Now, once you feel that the sensations have subsided, and this is a Yin Yoga practice where we're not really doing a lot, but we're also moving slowly. It is important, before we're moving on to the next pose, is that the tissues have slightly rebounded, slightly contracted again, so it's stable, the joints are stable. Now we're going to slowly place our hands underneath our shoulders, and I know you're going to enjoy a lovely child's pose, just to simply stretch the spine. So inhale, bring yourself all the way up. Exhale, breathing, push your hips towards your heels. Give yourself a gentle stretch of the spine, feels really delicious. We just pressed into our back, and now we're just going to stretch our spine. Lovely. And then slowly roll yourself up to a kneel position, but not for long. Move your legs to one side, come sit on your bottom, and we're moving into straddle pose, meaning we're going to bring the legs out to the side. It is important in a seated posture that you're sitting on your sit bones, and these are these bony bits underneath the butt cheeks, okay? You don't have to bring the legs as wide, you can bring them slightly closer in, as long as you can sit nicely onto your sit bones. Maybe you need a bit of a blanket to sit on, just to lift the hips. And if this is too strong for the inner thighs, you can always bend your legs, holding on to the ankles. So find again your appropriate position. Beautiful straddle pose. Lovely. So stretch your legs really out to the side. Sitting nice and tall. Yeah, I think I lost you here for a moment. Sitting nice and tall. Lengthening through the spine. Good. So first, shoulders, hips, all lovely and aligned. And then take a really deep breath in. And we're going to gently twist over to your right. Maybe even looking over your right shoulder. So this is a movement of the spine, which is very healthy, one of the 6 movements of the spine, and this is rotation. So we're gently rotating the spine from coccyx to neck. So stay here for a few breaths. At the same time, we're stretching the inner thighs, which takes a lot of pressure from the sacrum. Abducting the legs away from the center line. And relax your muscles again. Breathing calm and deep, but also just slow. Fully oxygenate the body. And I know it's not really easy to stay in one pose for a longer period of time. Yeah, lovely. And then very slowly, return yourself back to the center. We're just rotating the spine, and then gently twist over towards your left. Maybe looking over your left shoulder, way, way back. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. Again, hold the pose for time, not for intensity. And it's important in a spine twist that we're lengthening the body. but not with too much effort. Just go into resistance and hold. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, simply to be. And your breath is actually the most dynamic part of this practice because it is moving. Inhale, breathing, come all the way through the center. Gently tuck your chin into your chest and allow the body to fold forward any amount. Maybe slowly moving the hands out in front of you, tucking your chin gently in towards your chest. And breathe some space into the body. We're trying to keep our sit bones onto the mat, allowing the hips to stay grounded, and we're folding the body. Some students have this space and the mobility to bring the body very close to the floor, maybe even down, and some students are a bit tighter and they maybe need to, or less range of motion, and they need to maybe stay slightly up. It doesn't really matter how deep you are. Respect your limitations and just explore and go into this journey of finding out who you are, what you are, where you are now. Relaxing the muscles. Yin Yoga has taught me a lot about myself, about my own body, where I'm holding on, what are my habits. But one thing I have changed over time is I'm not judging it anymore, not being too critical about it anymore. I simply try to accept the body exactly as it is right now, even if I might not even like it, or maybe I don't like the sensations as much. But it's okay, because I know nothing will really last forever. It will change again, and it really gives me a great sense of compassion, not just for myself, but also for the environment around us. So you feel glorious stretches on the inside, they're a bit achy, maybe on the outside, maybe underneath the legs, and I know that it's all a bit of tension, maybe a bit of scar tissue, but it's not really great to always hold on to this tension. It's actually quite healthy just to gently massage it out of the body, by gently pressing into it and slowly asking permission for the body to release this tension, only when it's ready. Let's take a few more breaths in this pose. Inhaling, exhaling, and I know the sensations maybe start to get slightly stronger or they slowly subside. Just be curious. It's a really, really interesting thing, just being still. Everybody take your last breath in this pose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, surrender yourself a little bit more. Let your body hang and dangle. Because guess what? You can never lose your arms or legs in this pose or in this class because you're connected with your ligaments, your connective tissue. Let's all slowly come up. Slowly move yourself away from the floor. And again, coming out is equally as important as going in and staying in. So place your hands underneath your knees. Bring your knees all the way up and then all the way in. That feels really lovely. Maybe give yourself a hug. Maybe you need to windshield wipe your legs from side to side. Oh, that feels really good. A bit of movement after a pose. Lovely. Now the next pose is really one of my favorite postures. And that is a supported fish pose. You can do it with a bolster or you can do that on a brick. But for the ease of everything, let's do it with a brick or something firm underneath your body. Can even be a blanket. So come a little bit more to the front of your mat and we're going to place this brick underneath your shoulder blades. I will turn my back. Underneath the shoulder blades or anywhere in the upper spine that you feel like it's a bit tight, okay? You can place it across the collarbone of the shoulder blades or you can place it
in between. Choice is yours. All right, so position your brick, and then you might need an extra brick or a blanket nearby to ensure that your head is not dangling in space, okay? So slowly lower the body down and place this brick underneath the shoulder blades. Be mindful. And then wrap your shoulders around this brick or whatever you have underneath you, and allow your head to go back. If your head is all the way tilted like this, you probably need a bit of support under the head, okay? Or lower your brick. Once you got all that done, lift the pelvis up just a tiny bit so we're not overarching the spine. And you can have your legs bent, you can have your legs extended, or you can have your legs in a butterfly shape. You can have your arms down by your side, or you can have your arms over your head. There are plenty of choices. But feel free just to explore them all throughout this about 5-minute pose. So once you found your edge, and you feel this mild discomfort in your back, this pressing into the shoulder blades, but this glorious opening of the chest, commit to stay. Relax your muscles. Like it's almost candle wax, your muscles are just gently dripping away. Complete surrendering. I love having my arms over my head, but if that's not working for you, then bring your arms out to the side or down by your side. There's so many places you can position your arms or your legs. So again, analyzing this posture as a yoga instructor, this is a back bend again. This compensates for all the forward bending we do over our desks and computers and phones, building up this huge amount of tension in the upper spine. But it's also actually almost reshaping our spine, taking it out of its natural state, the way we were born with this beautiful double S curve. So we're slowly re-establishing all these natural curves in the spine again that is so essential for a healthy body, a healthy functioning body. And yes, that comes with a bit of discomfort. But discomfort never hurt the body. It's pain, and not treating the body with respect and compassion, that usually hurts the body. Not a bit of a dull ache. So go into that place where you feel something. And then commit to stay and to soften all these tissues around it. Relax your body. Once you're letting go of the muscles, some very interesting signals are sent to the brain that it's not in a state of fight-flight anymore. It doesn't have to contract, protect. You don't have to switch the adrenaline on. It can actually now get into a state of rest and digest. And that is simply done with relaxing your muscles. So let's do this. The body heals when it rests. The body gets stronger when it rests. And it also energizes when it rests. And this gives you the vitality to do all the other more dynamic activities you like to do, whether it's from simply living, or maybe beautiful vinyasa flow practice, or running or swimming, whatever works your boat. But the body needs a bit of healing too. It needs a bit of rest. Our Western life is fast enough already. So let's give this present to our body. Now, whatever shape your legs are in, let's try to get them into a more neutral state, meaning stretching the legs all the way out. And let's give ourselves a big, beautiful stretch. Bring your arms over your head. Relaxing your shoulders and feel this beautiful lift and opening up of your gorgeous heart. Let the light come in a little bit. Your emotions are just a bunch of energy.
emotions, it means energy in motion. And we're just creating space in the body for this energy to flow, to come in and to come out. Using Yin Yoga to massage and activate and hydrate our connective tissue. Alright, I know you're probably very keen to come out. Lower your arms down by your side. This is the best bit. Bend your knees. Now, normally I will be there in a class to help you remove your brick, but now I'm going to ask you to do it very so gently yourself. Lift your head up and gently remove this brick, from underneath your body, feeling quite vulnerable as you lower yourself all the way down. Maybe you want to bring your knees into your chest, maybe your forehead to your knees. And then lower your body all the way back down again. Feels good to be just simply neutral on your mat. Alright, so for the last few poses of this Yin Yoga practice for our beautiful spine, I'm going to ask you to stretch your legs out along the mat. Bring your arms over your head, grab the bony parts of your elbows if that's available. Bring your body towards the top left corner of your mat. Shoulders and face the ceiling. And then move your lower body, your legs, over towards the bottom left corner of your mat. Maybe you would like to place your right ankle over your left ankle. So you're creating this banana pose with your body. So you're bending your body over to your left, but keep your right hip and your right shoulder down. So you might feel a bit of an ache in the left corner or the bottom of your spine. Maybe you feel this beautiful stretch on the right side of your body. So this is lateral flexion. Relaxing your shoulder blades, relaxing your hips, relaxing your belly, and just hang out for a time again. Yeah, lovely. Imagine walking around in your room where you're practicing your yoga now, and I'm going to gently place my hands on top of your hips. I'm going to gently guide them down, spread them out, so you feel this opening in the hips. Make sure there's no numbness or sharp sensations in your shoulders. You can always widen your arms a little bit. So again, become an explorer. Become an explorer of your own body. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Where can you be challenged? But all done with a Yin attitude of compassion, of allowing, of surrendering. Not judging. You don't do that in yoga practice. Why? We're creating an ideal environment for your body, for you to live in. And that place is your own body. So breathe really along the sidelines of the body. Very long fascial lines from the fingertips all the way down towards the toes. Take a few more breaths, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your jaw. This is such an amazing pose. We're almost done, so why rushing now? Working the sixth freedom of the spine. Now to come out of this posture, first bring your upper body towards the center. And then release the ankles and then bring your lower body towards the center. And then bring your arms down by your side, and you might feel this rebound on the right side of your body. Maybe a bit of a glow. That might be blood circulation. That might be a bit of like chi, a mystical life force that are flowing through the body. And let's practice the other side. Bring your arms over your head, maybe switch a different elbow at the top. And bring your upper body over towards the top right corner of your mat, opening up the chest and shoulders. And then move your lower legs over towards the bottom right corner. And then maybe place the left ankle over the right ankle. And rooting your left hip down, that's it, and your shoulder down. And then stay again. Just relax. So yoga,
but I'm just now focusing on Yin Yoga, has so many benefits. Besides strength and mobility and flexibility, but we're working on enhancing the distribution of fluids and flow, ranging for blood circulation to oxygen, to lymph fluids, and to this mystical flow of chi, our vital, our life force. We always need to make sure that the body flows, that all the lines of communication, our vessels, are open and free of blockages and stagnation. Because no matter how good the flow is, the oxygen is, or the bloods, nothing can stay in your body. Everything has to be renewed. Bloods are being renewed. The air that comes in doesn't stay in your body, it leaves the body again. The body just takes what it needs, and it needs to be able to release, to cleanse, to eliminate what is no longer useful for the body and maybe even toxic. And in order to do that, the body has to function, has to work appropriately. So any aches or dullness or scarring or sense of feeling stuck in the body is a sign of stagnation, which is not beneficial for creating this free flow of coming in and coming out, of taking in and of letting go. So relax your body, surrender completely into your pose, and allow the density and allow the stresses and a little of achiness just to happen. And maybe over time, this sensation softens because you have allowed it, you have welcomed it in your body. Let's take a few more breaths in this pose before we're slowly coming back out again. Again, nothing stays or lasts forever. Then bring your body all the way back to the center, legs, arms, body, and then lower your arms all the way down. Allow the blood to return wherever it belongs. Once you go back to neutral again, it feels really amazing to bring your knees into your chest. Do everything really gentle. You don't want to disturb the tissues too much. Bring your forehead maybe to your knees. Lovely. And then lower your body all the way back down. Plant your feet on the mat. And of course there's so many beautiful Yin Yoga poses, but one pose is really nice to finish the class with, which is supine twist. So I'm going to do it quite relaxed today. Feet are hip width distance, lovely. Knees are pointing up. Body is resting into the mat, shoulder blades down the back. Lovely. Now allow your knees to simply flop over to your right. Come to the outer edges of the feet. Allow the knees to flop to the right. And then maybe keep your arms in cactus shape and look to the left. So this is not really a very deep twist, but it's quite relaxing. It takes enough pressure off the lumbar spine, and we're moving the spine in another direction, which is rotation again. If you like to add on, you think, I can use something more, you can simply change the position of your legs by bringing the knees slightly closer towards the body, maybe using your hand for a bit of extra pressure. Or if you don't want to change the position of your feet, you can simply try to place your right foot on top of your left leg on the outside, which applies a bit more traction. And it doesn't really matter how deep you go. What matters is that you're staying still. Stillness, or practicing stillness, is a massive skill. Not reacting, not responding, allowing just to notice. It's the same as meditation. We're allowing thoughts to come through, just like beautiful clouds. We're We're not going to pick them out of the sky. We're not going to hold on to it. We're just going to allow. And over time, you lose interest, or the mind loses interest in that thought or that sensation. And maybe that sensation or that thought just leaves. And maybe one day it will return again. But we have not responded to it, so the body stayed in a state of being neutral. And it's just really glorious just to relax the body. It's called active relaxation. Shall we stay for a few more breaths? The breath is a wonderful tool you have in your toolbox. It's always there. You can pick it up whenever you want, whenever you need it. And it can travel everywhere in the body because it travels through your fascia. And that happens to be everywhere. Slowly return the head to center. Allow your foot to come back down on the mat. And then return your knees to center. Maybe lower your arms down. Shovel yourself back on the center of your mat. Let's do the other side. Let your knees just drop over to the left. Arms in cactus shape. Maybe you want to look to the right. Maybe you prefer something stronger. Bring the knees slightly more up. Maybe using your left hand to apply a bit of traction on the legs. And still looking to the right, or maybe you want to look up. Or keep your knees just falling to the left, but place your left foot on top of the right leg. So there are plenty of choices for you. You decide what is most appropriate. It is about Goldilocks position. Not too hot, not too cold. Not too strong, not too soft. It's just simply right. And that is the middle path. And that is the ideal path we should try to stay on. Nothing in excess, but nothing too little. Just enough. And that is a great, actually, thought to live by. Staying on the middle path. And when you fall off, just try to find a way to come back on that path again. We don't need too much food. We don't need little food. Not too much activity, but not less activity. Everything just in the center. And it's not always easy to find that middle path, and that's okay. Knowing that you can always return. Take your last 3 breaths in this pose. A beautiful decompression of the spine, a mild stimulation of the spinal cord, but nothing that requires a lot of effort. Letting go of striving. It is a great opener, but even more, a great connection of the body, with the mind, with you. Slowly return your body back to the center. Bring your arms a bit more down by your side. Maybe any movement you need to make just to wiggle the body around. I can go on, but we're going to slowly finish our practice by just taking a few moments to stay in a neutral pose of rest. And in Yin Yoga practice, where you choose your resting pose, whatever makes sense to you. But in Yin Yoga, we like to take on sometimes pentacle pose, which is a shavasana or resting pose where the legs are wide in a V shape and your arms are in a V shape, like a splat of paint fell from your ceiling onto the floor. Extend and move your legs from the center line of the body, from the belly button, and move your arms from the center of the upper body, your gorgeous energetic heart. And surrender your entire back body, broadening, spreading out like wings over your mat. And then allow the entire front body just to collapse and sink into the back body. And that space and the tissues in between, they are safe and protected, resting
between the two layers of the body. Find your stillness again. And we're using this pose to connect. Whatever you did or didn't do today in your practice, it was exactly what the body had to do, what made sense for the body. The body never lies. The body and the heart, they know the truth. It is just up to us to take time to listen. Please feel free to extend your resting pose to as long as you like, because this is your time and this is the master pose of all the yoga poses. Shavasana, or final relaxation. Otherwise, slowly bring some movement into your feet, into your hands. Maybe you want to bend the arms, or maybe you would like to stretch your arms. Oh, give yourself a glorious stretch. And when you exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Maybe bring your forehead to your knees. Lower yourself back down and roll over to your side. In Yin Yoga, we tend to roll over to our left side. I can't do it because I will roll into the wall. So roll over to your left side and just stay there for just a few moments, allowing the spine to settle. But this is also a very safe way to push yourself up, if you wish, to a seated position where we started over an hour ago. So I'm going to leave you and love you. And I just want to thank you for sharing your Yin Yoga practice with me, maybe with somebody else. We're here connected. How great is that? So let's take our practice off our mat. Bring your hands down by your side. Take a really deep breath in. Stretch your arms up towards the ceiling as you bring your palms together. And then slide your hands through the center, touching your heart. So you can take this practice with you off your mat to share this beautiful, glorious Yin Yoga practice. As you bow down towards yourself, and as I bow down to all of you, thank you, beautiful yogis, for allowing me to be your guide through this Yin Yoga practice. Have a most brilliant day. Namaste. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you very much.